Right. Well, I won't be 20 minutes because us sort of senior tax academics, we can't last for 20 minutes. But look, to put this this topic in perspective, it just sort of interested me that the government was going to spend a lot of money on the digital future of Australia and in particular the invoicing process. So let me, first of all, I hadn't heard of Peppol and I wasn't aware of the role of the ATO in looking at electronic invoicing. So that's the reason why I thought this was quite interesting. And so basically, why is this topic of interest? Well, I think primarily it's because the ATO is in fact running the online invoicing system Peppol, which is unusual, as we'll see. No other country has given that role to its revenue collection agency. I also thought it was interesting because it raises a privacy and confidentiality issue for business, in that you have the tax administrator seeing the flow of money being exchanged in terms of the e-invoicing process. And then I thought, well, the tax office seems to know so much about us, and we are being required to provide lots of reports to the tax office. So should it matter for business? And then finally, I thought, well, with the GST tax gap of 5 billion, perhaps this is a way of reducing that and getting all businesses to comply. So if I click to the next one. So what is e-invoicing? Well, it's interesting because basically, and this, as we'll see in a minute, it applies to all government departments, really from 1 July this year, this financial year. But it means that no longer do you need someone to sit there and produce an invoice either on paper or as a PDF document, and then email it or send it to the person that you're invoicing and expecting to be paid. It's all done through an electronic system that is live, that's active, and it doesn't matter whether you're a supplier in Australia, but you could even be international. So why is this so important? Why is the government so keen to encourage us to become digitally active? The future of the electronic system. Well, the government introduced it. Well, they appointed the ATO to operate what we call Pan-European Public Procurement Online Framework. So that's where the Peppol name comes from. And in the UK, the National Health Service has been contracted to operate the Peppol system. In Australia, of course, it's the ATO, and they can in fact track the volume of invoices flowing through the network, so they can see how much money is being invoiced, the flow of payments back to the provider, to the supplier, and therefore they would have a fair idea of the GST that should be being collected. So that was sort of one of the main features of it. Interestingly, and again, I didn't know anything about this, but in February 2019, both Australia and New Zealand adopted the Peppol framework. And if you have a look at this whole concept of the Peppol framework, you'll see vast majority of European countries have adopted it. Deloitte Access Economics estimated that for every paper invoice, it was costing businesses about $20. And there are something like 1.2 billion invoices being generated every year. So it does represent a huge cost to business. And again, was one of the reasons why the government was keen to introduce the system. And if I go to the next slide, the starting dates basically are 1 July this year for government agencies, large government agencies. So if you're an in-house accountant with a large corporation and you were going to invoice a government department, let's say it was ASIC, you would then go into the system, you would generate the invoice through the Peppol system. It would then end up with ASIC. ASIC then in turn would pay that invoice within something like 5 working days. So you would have your money far quicker, and you wouldn't need to generate a paper or a PDF version of that invoice. Goes into your accounting system. It then goes into, I presume, the correct ledgers, and it's sort of sitting there without lots of people needing to handle pieces of paper and generate invoices. Now, I've pretty well covered this. The only thing here is that, and again, to complete the picture, when you start looking at e-invoicing and you look at the Peppol system, you'll see that there are a number of software companies, Xerox, and I can't remember all the names. They are now providing businesses in Australia with an interface into the Peppol e-invoicing framework. So it's not as if this sort of system just sits there. I suppose what's interesting is that I wasn't aware of it, and I'm sure a lot of people aren't aware of this system. But obviously if you're in a big business, you are aware of it, or you're in a government department or government agency, and you're in part of the accounting process. But the idea being that you buy your software, or you have the current software that you use for your accounting processes with the Peppol interface, and then everything just works seamlessly. You just go in and invoice, and the invoice is sent to the other business that you've been dealing with, and not just Australia, but also internationally. Now, government again, in the budget, they announced that they were putting a lot of money into trying to promote and to assist businesses with the digital future, and particularly the e-invoicing framework. And the dates, I think, are important. Government is hoping that all agencies and large businesses by the 1st of July 2022 are using the Peppol system. Just to sort of complete this, you'll find the law that provides the ATO with the authority to in fact run the Peppol system is found in the Tax Administration Act, and of course there's a lot of consultation still to go ahead. There's a lot of work required, but the ATO will be doing all the regulation for the Peppol system, As I said before, they can track the volume of invoices, but at this stage, they don't know who the taxpayer is, but they can, of course, use that for data matching purposes. Now, is that good or is that bad? Well, who really knows? So, I suppose part of the reason why I think we shouldn't worry about it and business shouldn't be concerned is that there is so much of our information that has been digitised and is in fact available to the ATO. I mean, one of the nicest things is for individuals with your pre-fill of all your financial information. I mean, if you think back over the years, we would lodge our tax return. We would think we picked up all the interest on bank accounts. Sometimes we didn't even know we still had a bank account. And then 6 months or 12 months later, you'd get a letter from the tax office saying you forgot to include a certain amount of interest in your assessable income. So look, pre-fills, MyGov, MyTax, absolutely brilliant. I mean, it's the future. It's what the digitisation future is going to look like. Centrelink, Medicare and health records, and it's great that that there's a record of when we have our COVID vaccination injections. PAYG withholding, well, again, through single touch payroll system. All of this information is going into the tax office. It's there already. Multinational corporations have to report country by country reporting. Taxable payments annual report when we pay contractors. All of that information is going in. Now, I'm sure there are lots of other reports going to the ATO that I'm not aware of. And so what I'm saying here is that business and even individuals shouldn't be concerned in terms of privacy or confidentiality. The systems exist for all of that information to be made available to the tax office. As I tell my students, look, the tax office knows more about our finances than we do. And so there's a if you like, a disincentive to try to cheat the system. So that was sort of what I was trying to get at in terms of the amount of information the tax office has now. And then this is the final slide. Look, it may be, and this will be part of future research, perhaps that GST tax cap of $5 billion may well be reduced as a result of e-invoicing and the Peppol system being introduced. So, look, I suppose in summary, the three things I thought were important with this particular presentation, and I haven't even thought about putting a paper together on it, is the future of electronic commerce, the future of how we are digitizing all of the data, all the financial information that exists. I mean, that's important, and the government obviously is 100% behind it. It also means a saving for business. But the other thing I thought was, well, is the ATO the right agency to administer the Peppol system when you've got the National Health Service in the UK and there's a whole range of other government agencies in European countries, but not your revenue authority? Will that cause business to be nervous, to be reluctant to adopt it? Well, I suppose what I'm saying here is that there is so much information the tax office has on business and payments. Why should you be concerned if you're doing everything correctly? And given just the power of the digitisation of finances throughout the world, there really isn't very much we can do about it, and that may not be a bad thing. So it will be interesting to see how business reacts to Peppol, what the uptake is. But obviously government agencies and government departments have been mandated to use the Peppol system. And so to me, this is an interesting aspect of tax law for the future. And that's basically it.